Sonic Universe Issue 36. We start out seeing the Mobians outside the Nanite City as it's being destroyed by a Battlebird laser, and the Mobians are blaming Nicole for not protecting them well enough when she did the best she could. Why are the Mobians complaining that Nicole isn't protecting them, and not even mentioning the fact that Ixis isn't protecting them either? Also, I have to wonder why they aren't accusing Nicole of intentionally getting rid of the force field just to spite them. I mean, if she put up that force field, then she must have been trying to protect them intentionally, right? Like, if they hate her so much, why aren't they accusing her of just dickishly trolling them? Which would make sense for her to do after the way they're treating her. Then they wish that they could return to Knothole and go back to basics, completely ignoring the fact that the Nanite City is much safer because of the force field, at least in theory. Well, I guess Knothole could always have a force field, like in Anti-Mobius, but doesn't that require the nanites be made? And Rotor and Elias are hoping that Nicole survived, but this doesn't have the proper impact because we saw that she did last issue. There's no suspense there. Rotor says that while he could run the nanites without her, it would be slow and difficult, and the public wouldn't approve of him doing it. The Babylon rogues go over to the hole where Babylon Garden is buried, and fortunately they aren't staying with the Armada that easily, as Jet says that if the Battlelord thinks they're just gonna hand it to them, he's got another think coming. That's literally what it says. As Sonic furiously runs ahead, the Battlelord brags that they just need the rogues to succeed, and Sonic attacks the rogues in a tranquil fury because of their complete selfishness, talking to Jet as if he was talking to Scourge. He spin dashes at Jet, assumes that Jet doesn't have the gravity force field generator because he wasn't quick enough to use it, and then Wave uses it on him from behind just like that. This is such an overly convenient plot device to stop characters, and it reminds me of Silver's telekinesis if it is used smartly. Wave then makes me giggle a little by being sarcastic about how Jet didn't thank her for the save, saying, "Gee, thanks for the help there, Wave. No problem, Jet, just doing my part for the team." It's nice to see the dynamic they have. Like, she kinda wants their dynamic to be more corny, like a bunch of heroes being all nice to each other, even though they're thieves. Jet says that once he uses the key, he won't get to use that trick anymore. Why not? He's excited at seeing what he thinks is a Battlebird Game Boy Advance and asks to play it. Huh, they have those. Wave then says that it's her scanner, which he didn't recognize on sight, and which gives her readings that the garden is a vessel. So basically she has a little device that scans anything she wants to tell her what it is, just like handheld Nicole. Well, she's a genius, it makes sense that she could make that, I suppose. Why is bird brain used as an insult by the bird people? Wouldn't it be seen as more of a slur, implying that all birds are stupid instead? They go to the main control room, put the pieces together, and the key flies away from Jet and into a robot, who says that his ignition matrix was removed a millennium ago. He somehow knows exactly how long it's been since he was last conscious, and he says that the previous navigational routine may now resume. Sonic shows up in a rage, and when Jet says he accomplished something, he says, "You accomplished? You needed these two and the whole Armada to dig this thing up." After he asks why Nicole built a city on top of the Babylon Garden, the robot insists that Nicole didn't build the Nanite City, even though she clearly did, redesigning it to make it look like old Metropolis and everything. The robot says that the city was made by Adam, who detected his systems and intended to tap into them to expedite the transport of mystic gems across the vast reaches of space. I have a hard time believing that this whole concept was even a flicker in Flynn's eyes when he first wrote the Adam's big plan story. The robot says that he helped Adam get the emeralds with a wormhole generator that creates shortcuts across space-time, rather than him getting all the emeralds with, the power of Super Tails and Jada like I thought. But since the systems couldn't be accessed without the ignition matrix, Adam did what he could. Wave is surprised to learn that the Babylon Garden is a spaceship after all the different advanced technology that the ancient Babylonians were shown to have. Sonic complains, "More alien losers, just what this planet needs." I agree, did they really have to make the rogues aliens just because the games had that concept? Didn't he know that everyone hated that concept? It's not bad enough that Shadow is related to aliens too? It's so unnecessary. And the rogues fit right in with the Mobians, so if their ancestral planet has people looking like them, that's the biggest coincidence ever. The robot says that his key was removed due to an irreparable malfunction in the wormhole generator, that would cause the creation of a black hole if used, destroying the planet, until the people settled on this world instead of doing such a thing. Then the ship and Matrix were hidden to prevent this occurrence in the future, rather than destroyed for some reason.
These guys are just now reacting to the idea that they're aliens. They're just now figuring it out.
Then the robot says that he's going to destroy the planet out of complete nowhere. I see that this isn't written any better than in the game either. The Babylonian garden rises from the ground, and the Battlelord grapples it with anchors and gets the idea that Jet has taken the garden for himself. Jet tries to stop Sonic from saving the world because he wants to know more about his ancient people. I wouldn't really take him to be a history geek. Shouldn't it be Wave who's doing this since she knows the Babylonian language and everything? The robot denies his order because he lacks sufficient security clearance, and he says he must return to Homeworld for repairs, and that requires creating a black hole. That is one poorly programmed robot. Doesn't even get the idea that maybe there aren't any people on this homeworld. Wave says that reprogramming him would take time, and her convenient readings say they only have minutes before the wormhole jump. Speedy then shows up, and at first he taunts that he should let the world be destroyed just to have Jet be responsible for it, but then he immediately says that he was just kidding and he'd rather savor his defeat at the hands of the Battlelord. Sonic is suddenly holding the key, because he was quiet enough to get there without anyone noticing. And he says in tranquil fury that if he wasn't the good guy, he'd make sure those jerks couldn't fly out of here before the heap comes crashing down. Translation, he's too self-righteous for his own good sometimes. Although to be fair, none of these idiots wanted this to happen. Sonic destroys the key, with Jet being angry at it because he's still under the impression that the robot would tell him ancient history lessons. This is stupid characterization. I don't buy that Jet wouldn't care that the world was destroyed. He's a treasure-hunting punk, but not a complete monster like Mogwit's worst. Sonic says that he's going to make sure his friends and family are okay, and threatens, if anyone isn't okay, you better hope he can run faster than me. He opens the door and casually falls out of the spaceship from that kind of height with no problem. Jet very reluctantly leaves the spaceship, still wanting to learn about his people, with Speedy reassuring him that now he doesn't have to explain this to the Battlelord. So is Speedy not going to explain it either, and get Jet in serious trouble? Why not? The Battlelord lets go of the Babylon Garden as it goes down with them, and it says that the rogues will pay for their treachery. Sonic returns to his friends, who are in front of the giant hole in the ground. Isn't it great writing that Rotor put on the nanite suit and has done absolutely nothing noticeable with it? As Amy hugs Sonic as he smiles in relief, Tails says that while there's no casualties, Ixis popped out of a shadow a few minutes ago and has been acting weird, as we see him telling the voices in his head to shut up already. You'd think Ixis would explain the situation rather than suffer the humiliation of people accusing him of being insane and having voices in his head that aren't really there. Rotor says that he directed the nanites to start the reconstruction of the city from his nanite suit, so he actually did something with it after all. Just not something actiony like I expected. He complains that without Nicole it'll take a while, and explains that Nicole uploaded herself to Freedom HQ and she might be stuck there for a while. So why such a major change to the status quo like this shunted off to the side comic Sonic universe instead of happening in the main comic? Sonic calls Tails his little bro and says they have a score to settle. For once, Wave shows some decency by wondering, gee, do you think they're all okay? But she's saying this for her own people only, as Jet doubts that the Battlelord didn't survive crashing into the mountain. The story ends with Jet saying that them being aliens changes things because now he wants to prove he's the fastest thing in the universe. First off, no, it really doesn't change things. To the point where I was hoping that Jet was being written to be sarcastic in a moment of self-awareness how pointless them being aliens is. Instead, it's playing completely straight. And second, Jet wanting to prove that he's the fastest thing ever has always been really stupid because it should be obvious to him that Sonic is faster because of his natural inherent speed, while Jet needs an airboard as a crutch just to get by. So why would he be proud of speed that's not even his? That's like saying you're the fastest thing ever and basing your whole pride around that, when you're only fast because you drive a certain car. And the idea that the airboard will be faster than sound is ludicrous, advanced technology or not. It's such a one-sided rivalry. This issue is by Flynn, and has the Nanite City get destroyed temporarily, with the Mobians blaming Nicole for a force field not protecting it, while not breathing a word about Ixis being even more of a failure for no reason, because that's not sloppy force writing at all. You think that they would want to blame Ixis and stuff because he's still a bad guy. Well, God forbid they just tell us that Ixis is brainwashing them to support him already, If they're scared, then you'd think they'd be even more likely to lose faith in an evil wizard who has been a total failure every time he's tried to be helpful, for no reason whatsoever. And there's a twist that Nicole isn't able to rebuild the city because she's stuck at Freedom HQ, meaning that Rotor will have to take a while rebuilding it with his nanite suit, leaving the entire city homeless in the meantime. It's odd that such a major change in the status quo happened in a side comic. It's revealed that Adam had used the robot to get all the emeralds of the universe using his wormhole generator, which makes more sense. And the robot is hard programmed to go home for repairs even though that'll risk destroying the planet, which doesn't have sense. It has no morality after all. In a moment of weird writing, Jet is so obsessed with being a history geek about his people they'd rather let the world get destroyed in the process. And is reluctant to leave the spaceship even though I picture him to be a selfish treasure hunter who cares more about money and being speedy than ancient history. So all in all, I'm not sure if the story was written all that well. Ixis was ridiculously ineffectual for no good reason. The public still support him over Nicole in spite of that, and we didn't need the Babylonians to be aliens, just arbitrarily look like Mobians anyways. They're only given that backstory because the games had it that way, and fuck originality apparently. What happened to them being descended from genies and Sonic Riders? At least that makes a little more sense. The genies are at least assumed to be from Mobius, and we saw one. Now after this, I'm heading back to the main comic.